For more perspective, let's bring in editor-in-chief of the Tennessee Lookout, Holly McCall. Can I just get your reaction to Representative Ritchie's comments just now? He says that he was asked by Representative Jones to expel him. He doesn't think they should have been kicked out, but he doesn't regret his vote to kick him out.
You know, that was a lot to unpack. I will say that Representative Ritchie is also new in the House. He has not been in the Tennessee House of Representatives any longer than former Representative Jones has been. And so I think with a bit more perspective that I would look at it differently, and that is that there is a history of dislike between some of the Republican lawmakers and former Representative Jones. Former Representative Jones has protested. He protested in the summer of 2020 after the George Floyd killing and the Black Lives Matter. He led protests for months and months because there was a statue of one of the early Klan founders, Confederate General Nathan Bedford Forrest, in the Tennessee Capitol right outside of House Chambers. And that was there until last year. And so I think there's already a lot of bad blood, and I think Republicans were looking for an opportunity to deal with him. I might also point out that one thing Representative Ritchie did not address is this is just so unheard of. 3 times has expulsion been brought up in the Tennessee House of Representatives since the Civil War. And there are a multitude of other disciplinary proceedings. Right. Representative Pearson, former Representative Pearson, was just sworn in a week and a half ago. He literally didn't know these rules.
Yeah, you obviously pointed out there had been some bad blood between Representative Jones and some of the Republican lawmakers because of some of the stands that Representative Jones took. But Representative Jones also went on television late last night to say that he'd been treated, he says, with a great deal of disrespect. He was told to that he was an effing disgrace in the elevator, he says, by one of his fellow Republican lawmakers. He says his mic was routinely cut off during committee hearings. And then last night we had this exchange play out. I want you to take a listen to this.
Here in this Tennessee General Assembly, that's why you're standing there, because of that temper tantrum that day, for that yearning to have attention. That's what you wanted. Well, you're getting it now. So I just advise you, if you want to conduct business in this House, file a bill. Be recognized, stand there and present it, and pass it. All you got to do is pass the bill.
Representative Pearson.
Now, you all heard that. How many of you would want to be spoken to that way?
Got to ask your reaction to that exchange with Representative Pearson and one of his fellow lawmakers.
So I was watching that exchange in real time yesterday, and I had not been that familiar with the Republican Andrew Farmer because he's not one of the most active lawmakers up there. But boy, I know who he is now, too. He's getting the attention that he wants. That was jaw-droppingly condescending. And to use the words that Justin Pearson used, would you like to be spoken to that way? Not just the use of words like temper tantrum. I think he said you brought your adolescent bullhorn up there. But the phrasing and the tone of his voice was like something out of a 1960s civil rights film. It was just jaw-droppingly condescending. And it's also untrue for him to tell Representative Pearson, maybe you should file a bill. Once again, Representative Pearson was sworn into office on March 27th, the day of the mass shooting at Covenant School, which meant that until that time he was unable to vote, he was unable to be seated on a committee, he was unable to file a bill. So he has been hamstrung and literally has had zero voice up there.
Something tells me this story is not going to go away anytime soon. Holly Whitaker, thank you so much for being here, Holly, to give us a perspective on all of this. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.